Ready.
Alright, so this is our root card here. Basic root card, basic information. What is the purpose of the root card?
Have an idea.
To get the location of the different legs, get the grid bearing, magnetic bearing, and the distance.
Yeah, but why? What's the importance of doing
So
this?
you wouldn't get lost, and you will have an idea where you're at.
You'll always know where you're going.
Where's a leg?
A leg is as it moving from one
next.
point, like from this distance to this distance with
That
the
leg.
leg.
Alright. So the
Two
first
different
thing-
points.
The first thing you want to do when it is you get him up is to orient him up or set him up. Right? You'd already understand the basic conventional signs of the map, the sheet number, such and such. In setting him up, you could lose, well, first and foremost, you have the easterns, which is lines running from
north to south.
that
And
increase
increases value as it goes
to
in.
the, as move to the east. Northings are lines
I
Yeah.
got
running
one from east to west,
and
the indication value has moved to the north.
Right. Now we could set him up. Before we set him up, let's understand first what the grid north, true north, and magnetic north means. Right. The grid north and the true north basically is just a very, very small angle. Right. You have here 20 minutes 9 seconds. Now, in order to really grasp that, we have to understand how the magnetic field works on the Earth. Now, we have what is known as the
True north.
true north. Right, and obviously here would be the
True
true south. Right. However, we have a magnetic field or pull due to gravity that pulls us slightly off of the true north. And this angle where we get the pull is known as the
Magnetic north.
magnetic north. Whenever we use the compass, now the compass needle is magnetized, so the direction that this compass would be pulling to would be the magnetic north. Right. The true north, we have to remember that the Earth rotates on this axis, this true north axis. It rotates on that axis, and every year it rotates a certain amount of degrees or minutes or seconds. Now we want to pay attention to the year of the map. This map was made in 1978, and what they say is that their annual change for that period or that year was 8 minutes west. This is important information. 8 minutes west. This grid north is in line with the eastings
Easting.
on the map. Now, if you want to use which line you want to use to set the map, you have true north or grid north. For practical purposes, because this angle is so small, you could use any one to set the map. So if you decide to put it on the grid north or the true north, now the grid north is in line with all the northings. And to set the map or orient the map, you make sure that the housing is on north, and you turn the map. You need to move in, because of the van. Right, I'm going to the van, which is in metal. Next spin. Spin right here. Right here. Gotta go right carefully. Stay back on it. Right. There we go. Right. The magnetic north needle lines up or coincides with the orientation arrow on the inside, and your map is now set. So the top of the map is now north, bottom south, east and west. So that's the first thing that you do, you orient your map. What it is, we want to plug in bearing from one location to the next. Let's say we have a point from here and we want to go to this direction. from is where you want to pay attention to. From is where it always where you at. Now once you orient your map, then you could do whatever workings on your map because it is already set. So if we use a protractor, here will be north, south. If you want to get this direction here, you could approximate using the protractor, which will probably give you 35, 45, somewhere within there. If you want to use the compass, place the compass on the line from to the direction. Make sure you travel arrows pointing to the direction you want to go, and those orienteering lines on the inside of the housing must line up vertically with the lines on the map, right? And when you do that, you read off the number
40 degrees.
40 degrees, right? And that is known as a grid bearing. Whatever information that you take here is known as a grid bearing. Any information you take on the map is a grid. So if we say the location is from church at grid reference, 6-figure grid reference 718295 to Trig station grid 926718, and we said that the grid bearing is what?
40 degrees.
40 degrees. That's the first leg. Now we want to convert this grid bearing to a magnetic bearing. Now there's a saying, grid to mag you and mark to grid
Again.
you get rid. Good. Now before we could add or subtract, we need to find something known as the grid magnetic angle. And in getting the grid magnetic angle, we look at this information here. Now this information here was dated to 1978, which is the year the map was made. However, because every year the Earth rotates on its axis, alright, you would have a change taking place every year. So what we want to do is find out how old this map is. So we take away 214 from 1978, and we got 10, 6, 36. So 36 years. This map is 36 years old. And to find out what is the annual change, or how many,
Multiply
you multiply 36 by 8. 48, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So you have 288. Now we want to find out how many degrees, minutes and seconds in this figure. So divide by
60.
60. Right, and you get 4. 4 degrees, 48
seconds.
minutes. Alright, so this 4 degrees, 48 minutes is now known as your grid magnetic angle, or your total annual change. Right, for your total yearly change for the period of 36 years. Good. When you get this angle now, you're either adding or minusing that figure from whatever your grid bearing is, or whatever your magnetic bearing is. Good. So this figure says within the last 36 years, this is the amount of change or rotation that we got to present. So just now we got 40 degrees. So you want to convert this grid bearing to a magnetic bearing. Grid to mag you?
Add.
Right, so 40 degrees add 4 degrees, 48 seconds is 44 degrees, 48. Good, so your magnetic is 44 degrees, 48 minutes. Okay, if I had, let's say for instance, I had another leg that was 70 degrees magnetic, and I want to convert the grid. Mark the grid,
Take away.
take away, get rid. So I getting rid of 70 degrees, 70 degrees minus 4 degrees, 48 seconds. Alright, so 6, 9, 9, 8, 2, 5, 2, 6, 5, 6, 65, 52. 65 degrees, 52 minutes. 65 degrees, 52 minutes. And that is how you convert your grid to mark to grid. But first you have to understand that you need to identify the yearly map, the annual change, update the map so that you divide your minus the present date from this date, and then you multiply it by the annual change to get the grid magnetic angle. Alright. If we were in 1978, we didn't need to update the map to get a grid magnetic angle. But because the map is so many years old, you need to update it and multiply to find the total grid magnetic change within that space of time. Also, point to note, ladies, right, we have north, south, east, west. This west is important here because of our latitudinal location on the earth. Once your magnetic north is on the western side of the grid north or the true north, you add the grid magnetic angle. If the magnetic north, due to the latitudinal location, was on the east of the grid north and the true north, you would have minus. So if this was 8 degrees east, you would have to minus the grid magnetic angle from whatever figure it is you're using. Any questions?
No.
If this was east, remember we said mark to grid, mark to
grid, we add.
grid, get rid. So minus
Grid you get rid, and
and
mark you add.
grid
Add.
to mark you add. But this is if you was west, which is west here. All based on Trinidad location on the map, all of our maps would be west. But if it was east, this would be the total opposite. So you would have had mag to grid, you add, and grid to mag to minus. So you see the importance of our location, reading the map, understanding what the west and what the east means. Any questions? So you all could duplicate this each day. In the wink of an eye. Any questions at all? Good. Quick up, multi-baby back up, stuff on that.
Coming to see me there.
Yeah,
Right?
peace and love. It was nice.
So,
Northeastern College, 4th Battalion,
Bravo
Company.
Yeah. Peace
All
out.
day.